Hello, welcome. It is Wednesday, and here we are live interview You Stories, the original show in my You Stories series, where we talk to various guests and people, and the entire concept, which rolled on to all of my other You Stories show, is connecting to people via their stories. So it is a wonderfully muggy night on the East Coast. Yes, New York has decided to go from fall and dive right back into summer, and hopefully just for today, because I was liking fall. But I say hello to Mama Styles. She is my co-host every other Monday on You Stories, Beauty and the Bees Makeup, which we will be having again. Usually it's every other Monday, and we're going to be switching it around a bit. We have a little bit more flexibility in our schedule, but we will be having it again this Monday because I had a little issue with Hurricane. I was going to say Floyd. That was a really long time ago. Florence and my RA. So we ended up having it this last Monday. And our guest tonight on You Stories will also be our guest tonight on You Stories, Beauty and the Bees Makeup. So that'll be fantastic. I see Ammo. I see Tasha Elaine. Not average. First time here. Fantastic, Tasha. We are so excited to have you. We have a really interesting, very important show tonight. And my guest tonight actually came forward and was willing to share this, which is phenomenal. Allie's Metal Moments. How are you, love? I haven't seen you in a bit. Fantastic. I'm still getting rolling again from being out sick and then rolling into fall. And this week, I'm a little bit off kilter with my videos because there are 4 birthdays in my family this week. So, and it starts off the fall birthdays. So it's a little bit, I'm trying to get everything out at once. If I'm a hair late, please be patient with me. But fantastic to see you all. Other important announcement is David Build. Sorry. Hello. Can I speak? David Build Vlogs will be coming back a week from today. His wife ended up with AFE, which is amniotic fluid embolism, meaning that when she was giving birth, the amniotic fluid that surrounds the baby entered her bloodstream, which causes a massive immune system attack as if it's a foreign invader. She was in a coma for almost 2 weeks. Most women die within the first hour, between 50 to 80%, and most physicians don't know what it is. So David Build Vlogs kindly came on. He wanted to bring awareness. I also wanted to bring awareness to his GoFundMe because he's not going to be able to work. That is their 5th child, and he's got to watch everybody. She's relearning how to speak, how to walk, how to do everything. And he will be coming back on Wednesday because when he came on last time, there was a bit of an issue with his connection, and he was also trying to watch his children at the same time. So he's gotten a babysitter and wanted to return, and we want to thank him in advance so much for bringing awareness to both men and women about this, because one of the things that saved his wife was there happened to be a doctor who had seen this, but most of the physicians there had no idea what it was. So the more people who have an idea that this exists, the better, especially since it could be so fatal. Now we're going to move on to something that I think is just as big and just as important. Our guest tonight, for those of you who haven't heard of the Manchester Arena bombings, on May 22nd, in the UK, 2017, at Manchester Arena, there was a suicide bombing by an Islamic, try to say that 3 times fast, by an Islamic terrorist who made a homemade bomb out of shrapnel and whatnot. He ended up detonating a bomb after an Ariana Grande concert there at Manchester Arena. killing 22 people, 23 including himself. This includes children, and 800 people there or in the surrounding area were affected either physiologically, physically, or psychologically. One of those 800 people is with us tonight. Welcome, Jess Rigby. How are you?
Hi, I'm all right. Thanks so much for having me. I've just seen everyone in the chat, so I'm just going to say hi to everyone in the chat as well.
Absolutely.
So yeah. Oh yeah.
So I thought that was absolutely fantastic. You guys have to understand, I welcome people when they have something they'd like to talk about or bring forward, and I have a platform here to bring it forward. And if you guys have anything, please, you can email me at Borgia. I don't know what's wrong with my mouth tonight. Email me at BorgiaGlobal@gmail.com. It's not like I don't say these things all the time. And Jess came forward and said that she wanted to talk about PTSD, anxiety, and panic attacks. And I said, okay. And for those of you who don't know, hello, Nathan, how are you? I do a pre-interview with all my guests, and I talked to her and I said, well, I'd love to talk about that. We do a disability discussion monthly, which, yes, I know I'm a little bit behind on, but we will get to the monthly one soon. And I ended up talking to her, and I did not know until I talked to her that her PTSD and other conditions stemmed from being right there at the Manchester bombings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll back a little bit and have her tell a little bit how that morning started, and then we'll go forward. We're also going to talk about other things with Jess, and like I said, she will also be the guest on the Beauty and the Bees makeup on Monday, which is a totally different thing, because she has an interest in it and also in special effects, which if you don't know, you know that I love special effects too. So this will be about all types of things, but I think it's fantastic, Jess, that you come forward to talk about this, because a lot of the time people don't think of what happens to those that were there and the after effects. And I'll say a few things about 9/11 as we talk, because after 9/11 happened, it was so close to my house, I opened my front door and I could smell it. And that's just something you never think of. And I remember talking to Jess about during the pre-interview. So on that morning, actually at that time, Jess, what were you doing? Were you in school? Were you working?
At that time, at 2017, I was working. I was, I was coming home from work ready to get ready for the night and things. But I was in work. I was 20 when it happened.
Wow.
Because it's last year, so I'm still quite young.
Yeah, that is. What were you doing for work at the time?
I was an assistant in a care home.
Oh, in a care home. So obviously that morning you did not get up thinking about this or anything else like that.
No.
Take me a little bit through your day as it started out.
Yeah, definitely. Me and my friends had these plans, like you do, I suppose. Wake up, just have kind of a lazy day. I wasn't in work, so I took advantage of it. Started to just slowly get ready as the day went on, and then we went round to my friend's house. Ordered a bit of food, had some music on. Of course, it was Ariana Grande we were listening to.
Right.
Then we just made our way to Manchester. We got the train. And obviously, yeah, we just, I think we might have gone into a pub or something and then made our way there. So the day kind of went quite quick, to be completely honest.
Wow. So, because from what I understand from everything that I've read about it and saw on TV, it actually happened. The bombing itself actually happened after the concert, correct?
Yeah, when the concert ended, the last song.
Oh my gosh, the last song. Good Lord, that I didn't realize. So, and you said that you were right next door. Where exactly were you located?
In the foyer, unfortunately, where it actually got detonated, it was that same door. So do you know what I mean? It wasn't like we were around the other side. We come out the same door where it happened, and the stewards were in like a line. I can't really explain what they were doing. They were kind of holding hands. So it was a barrier, so you couldn't like go over and, you know, touch anyone or anything, but it was just awful completely. But yeah, it was the same door where it had actually happened. So
Wow, that's incredible. Hello, Angel. Hello, Happy Lux. Hello, everyone. For anybody who's just coming in, we're just getting started talking to Jess Rigby. She was present for the Manchester Arena bombing May 22nd, 2017. So just a little less than a year and a half ago. And 23 people, including the suicide bomber, were killed in this, including children. But what they often don't speak about is there were 800 people affected physically and psychologically by this bombing. And Jess came forward and wanted to speak on it. And I thought that, you know, that was so incredible and so brave of her wanting to do so. So just bringing everybody up to speed a little bit. And as always, I know it's a bit more serious topic, but we do everything in here. And please, as always, make friends with creators and viewers and whatnot. As always, you know, please feel free. So you are in the actual area. Wow, that's incredible.
I know.
Because I mean, I remember 9/11, which yeah, you would have been much smaller for. I had a friend who was working in the actual at Newark Airport where the terrorists walked through to board the plane. They found out afterwards that he walked right by her to board the plane. And so it's just stuff like that just wow. Ammo says, oh, Majesty TV is giving flowers to you. Ammo still makes me sad she had to go through this. Hello, Stephanie Cardlook. Thank you for joining us. Please feel free to make friends with anybody in the chat. It's always welcome here. So, it makes me stutter a bit, but I suppose it should. So you said it came up until the last song. What is your recollection or your memory of how this happened?
I just recall we were sat. She come out and did the last song, which was the song that was the name of the tour. The second, it was so weird the way it actually unfolded because she left the stage, and as soon as she kind of wasn't visible on stage anymore, it was just this massive like bang. But it was like nothing I'd ever heard before. The ground shook and things like that. So it was very, very much just nothing I'd ever known before. I didn't think that's what it would have been like, but you felt it. And as you said, you can smell it, you could see everything, hear everything. Everyone completely panicked and just flooded out of the doors into the fire area where unfortunately it had actually been detonated. And then we were just kind of told to just make our way out. But at that point, unfortunately, it was quite scary because people were, you know, kind of saying there's somebody out there, somebody else, maybe like a gunman or something. So, I mean, you don't really know what to expect. So
yeah, I mean, that's incredible. Majesty TV says, Jess Rigby, thanks, good lady. Angel saying this is so scary. It wasn't that long ago. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't as close as you are, obviously, and 9/11 was much longer ago, but that's the only thing I can liken it to that I dealt with. And it's true. We were much closer, I think, than most of the people in the country to that. And yeah, you don't know what's going to happen next. Although, like, you were right in there. We were just close enough to smell it. But like you said, the smell of it and the hearing and whatnot. Did they manage to get people out well, or did they panic?
oh, it's froze a little bit. Sorry,
Oh, okay. Once in a while that happens. Hey, Alien, thank you so much for joining us. Alien says, right, Angel, and these days any of us could be in that situation. Yeah, it's very true. Like I said, and I'll speak on a little bit of things that happened during 9/11. I know that was quite some time ago, but you know, these things do happen and you never know when it might. It's okay. What I was saying was when you were there and you were leaving, obviously it's a frightening situation for everyone. Was there anyone that panicked, or were people orderly, or?
Oh, it was, to be honest, it was complete chaos because, of course, like most of them were children. Um, you know, so they'd been
Oh,
escorted by parents, dropped off at the door, and then the parents were coming to meet them at the same door. So they just kind of, not too young, but, you know, like teenage age. So, of course, they were just completely panicking, you know, ran out of the doors. A lot of people, unfortunately, got trampled on and things. So there was,
complete pandemonium then.
yeah, completely. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Mama Style says panic has to be one of the worst feelings to go through. Angel says that's what I was thinking. Ammo was put out clearly. Oh my God. Yeah, seriously. And I have to give it to Jess. She approached me to talk about this. So it's quite brave of her. I mean, this is one hell of a situation. What what were you doing during this?
Um,
Um,
at the time, obviously, it went off and things like that, but there was a lot of speculation. Like, a lot of people said, you know, like, there was a young girl behind us with her dad, and she was really, really panicking and said to her dad, "What's happened?" And everyone was just saying that, like, a speaker had blown or something, you know, like one of the big speakers. So we were
right,
kind of
right,
like, you know, maybe that's what's happened. So we were trying to help him calm his daughter down. And then we left, and everyone just started jumping like over the railings, you know, from the top tier.
right, right.
So that was carnage. They were jumping over, running into like the fire, running out the main door. But like in the process of all this, it was just pure panic. But then, unfortunately, I got to the main street, which is just, you know, located outside the main door. And
Mm-hmm.
I actually got split up from my friends. So I was just kind of like, oh God, you know, I really didn't know what to do in that moment. It's kind of, you don't know what to do in panic, like, because I thought, well, I don't know where my phone is. That's the last thing in my mind. And I think I kind of got redirected because I turned around and there was three really young girls, and obviously with no sign of a parental, you know.
Right.
So I kind of took them under my wing, and then I just took them to the nearest hotel. And then they kind of, which was really nice, then they were offering like, you know, water and the seating area and things like that. So that was where I then located their parents, and they had to come back into
Well,
Manchester to pick them up. So
God bless you for doing that, because God knows what would have happened to them otherwise. You
I
know, that's so kind of you to, you know, to take them under your wing, because I think a lot of people wouldn't have thought of that at something like that. They just would have been, you know, and I can't blame them. You know,
yeah,
nobody knows what they're going to do in a
no,
situation like that. Alien 6467. And welcome, Jem. How are you? We were talking about the Manchester Arena bombings. Jess Rigby was there, and we're going to be talking about how they affected her, because as 23 perished in it, including children, and one of them being the suicide bomber. 800 people, because I looked up a bit on this, there were 800 people affected physically and psychologically. So, and Jess is one of those people. Alien says, I always scan the exits wherever I go. And Ammo says, I never like to be a part of big crowds. It makes me nervous. And oh, congratulations, Jem, for finishing your interview on ThinkShare. I think we'll all enjoy that later. And Jess was a great help already to help some of the younger girls there, because there's younger teenagers at an
yeah,
Ariana Grande concert, although I like some of her music as well. But yeah, that's quite something, because there's got to be a lot of parents that were absolutely terrified,
yeah, definitely,
you know, to think, oh my God, this has happened, where is my child?
yeah,
So you said you went to a near, you brought them to a near hotel, and they were giving out water and taking care
yeah,
of people, was it?
yeah. They were just, you know, kind of assisting. They were offering out spare rooms, but obviously they would have only had one or two rooms available. But they were offering services, like they open, you know, like the vending machines and like the reception area, and they
Oh
just said take
wow.
what you like and things. So it's quite nice when people come together, like in the public.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that really is. That's really kind, and it's good to hear that, you know, that's, you know, go ahead, take what you need. It is nice to see when something like that happens, that it brings people together rather than separates them. It's sad to see so many things like this have started happening over the years. That's just going up. In fact, my mother and I were talking recently, just in the U.S. And she was saying about school shootings and stuff like that and whatnot. And she says, you know, you never used to hear about them. And now it's almost become regular to hear about them, not in the sense that they're normal by any means, but and bombings and so on and so forth, it's definitely on, an upswing in the world, whereas, it wasn't something that you used to hear about a lot. And that's really unfortunate. I mean, I don't know what to say other than unfortunate. It's beyond unfortunate. But back to your story, after you got them there, and did you say you had a room there already?
Oh, no. We were just there
Gotcha.
for the
So
concert.
you got them there and got them secure. And then what did you do after that?
Well, I was using, one of the young girls had a phone, so she said, "Will you ring my dad?" Because she was having like a panic attack herself. So and they
Oh
were
my
on the way.
goodness.
And then I went outside, and then only at that moment I thought, I better ring my mom, because of course if she sees this on the news, she's gonna panic.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Go
So
ahead.
I just give her a ring, and I just said, unfortunately, something has happened, but don't freak out. I'm fine. I don't know any fatalities. At that moment, you don't really know. So she was really panicking then. And of course, like, family members were like, "We'll come and get you," but it was like gridlocks. You weren't allowed to come anywhere near Manchester or in. So, I mean, we had loads of people offering, to come and get us, but unfortunately, it just wasn't an option. But yeah, so then eventually I picked my phone up out of my bag and I rang my friends, and eventually we all met back up, which was nice to see that we were all there. And then
That's
we
good.
just decided to try and find a taxi home. So that's how we eventually ended up getting home.
Wow. Alien says, hold on, is mine on this? Okay, here we go. Alien says, uh-oh, we're getting an echo on here. That's odd. Let's see, mine is muted out. Is yours on mute?
Mine.
Okay, there we go. Oh, I've got an echo still. All right, I don't know what's happening. Okay. Alien says, strangely, with all this going on, I hear the crime rate in the country is down. Is that possible? In the US? That's very interesting. I'm assuming that you're speaking of the US, because I know where you live, approximately. But perhaps, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's a different train of thought, stuff like terroristic bombings and stuff like that, as opposed to perhaps individual crimes. I don't know. That would be an interesting thing to look into now. Yeah, sometimes Hangouts does echo. It's such a fun it's such a fun piece of software to use. Anyway, so you got home that night, and thankfully you were okay. Your friends were okay. I don't think you said you knew anybody that was that passed or anything else like that. You didn't know any of those people, did you?
No, not on a personal level, but
Okay.
yeah.
And you get home and everything else like that. And I know that you said and it's noted in there, like I keep saying, there was 800 additional people physically or psychologically affected by this. Hamo says, that's why I never really like to use it. Yeah, well, we're limited on what we've got, but we may be jumping to Zoom. We'll see once I get my new computer. But I know you said you ended up with PTSD, anxiety, and panic attacks. When did you first started noticing any psychological symptoms resulting from that night?
To be honest, it was pretty much straight away. It was kind of the first 2 days, like the first 48 hours, were just a complete blur. I didn't eat or sleep or, unfortunately, anything like that. I didn't really function. So in the first 48 hours, I don't really remember much. But then as the weeks progressed on, I started to realize that I was just not myself. I couldn't even go to, like, the supermarket or whatever, the shop, anything like that was crowded. Because by my house, I realized a massive problem. I've got like a sports ground thing, like a stadium. So we went there past it just to go to like the shop by it, and loads of people flooded out, and it really set something off inside of me. And that was my first major panic attack. So I think that's when I realized a major problem. And also my skin had like these lumps under my skin. And when I
Oh my
went,
goodness.
they said it was like the doctor said it was like my body's way of stressing out, even though mentally I was kind of numb, if you know what I mean. So
Well, there's people that I've known personally just well, they say what is it, the three top stressful things other than something like this, I believe, is like moving, getting married, and having a baby. And I knew someone who broke out in hives moving, and whatnot. So stuff like that. I don't know if they were hives or something like that.
yeah, something on those lines. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it would be particularly shocking that if a move could cause that, that definitely explosions that, killed people and, injured them. I don't think that that would be shocking. Who did you see first? Did you see just a regular physician or a mental health provider?
At first, I really didn't know much about it, so I just went to my regular doctor and I just said, "Look, this is the issues I think I'm suffering with. I'm not myself, I really feel like it made me feel quite physically sick, so I kind of, went to see if there was anything I could do." I didn't really want to resort to, medication at first because it was more so like sleeping tablets because I was having problems sleeping, but I didn't really want to resort to that. So eventually, I went to see a psychiatrist and a counsellor, did some counselling sessions. So they were quite helpful. So yeah, it did help, but I did just start originally with a doctor.
Yeah, I think that'd probably be where a lot of people started. H.L. the Great says stress can definitely cause a rash. It happened to my mom all the time. Yeah, it was actually my own mother that I was talking about. That she, not in every move, God bless, because we did some major moves. But I do remember a move when I was little that she broke out in hives. Finally, she was so stressed out. That was actually my mom. Thanks, Mom. I'm sure you'll be thrilled. She's like, thank you so much for telling that, but she tells that on herself. And thank you, Mama Styles, for still listening. Yes, I know Sir Leo can be interesting. Although Sir Leo, we have the token Sir Leo sound effects. We're the only one to have him. And if anybody watched the show on Mondays, you'll see what we're talking about. He's quite something. Ammo says stress just makes me tired and want to hide from everybody. Well, you know what? I've heard of that too, and it sounds almost like a bit of depression, although I'm not going to be an armchair psychologist by any means. But I've heard of that reaction as well. From what you were saying, you weren't sleeping much though, were you, Jess?
No, not at all. It was more so like a living nightmare. Every time I shut my eyes, it just completely unfolded again. So I kind
Oh.
of couldn't bear, even if like I sat with my eyes closed to think about something like something irrelevant. I don't know why. It was just like a reoccurring thing that kept creeping into my mind for some reason. I don't know.
Well, it would be because one thing I think we talked about in the pre-interview and we haven't said on here is that you actually saw some dead bodies.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so she actually saw some of the people that perished in this, and wow, I can only imagine that's not something I've seen people perish in accidents and stuff like that, and that was enough. I saw a severe motorcycle accident, which I will not describe because it's quite terrible, but something of this nature that's even bigger that somebody's intentionally gone to do to hurt themselves and others. I can only imagine how you would even process that. I could see not sleeping, and I'm the type that I probably wouldn't have slept much either, um, because I tend to be quite visual, and you as an artist, I would imagine that you're quite visual too, and seeing that back is not something that you particularly would want to see. I'm only guessing, but just from imagining it from your situation. So this is only, I mean, geez, it's not even a year and a half ago. So how have you made it from not sleeping, and we'll go back a little bit, and I know you didn't sleep and then you saw the physician. How did you move forward into, and then we'll move into where you are now. How did you start taking steps forward to be able to be functional?
Yeah, definitely. It did take a lot of time. I'm not going to lie and say it was straight away. It kind of, I'm still not 1,000%. There's still little parts of it where I think, oh God, I don't feel like going to sleep, or
Well,
But
it really wasn't that long ago. I mean, that's a really
yeah,
massive thing to happen to you. So I would in no way expect for you to, poof, it's gone.
yeah,
I think that's normal.
yeah, definitely.
And
I just,
and Angel says, Jess is so strong going through all this and talking about it. She's so proud of her. Absolutely. And she
oh,
came
thank
to
you.
me wishing to speak about it. So I have to give it to her. That's absolutely phenomenal to share this, because no doubt you're helping somebody else in hearing this, which we get a lot of people on the replay and all kinds of people coming through here, whether they were that situation or another, that I'm sure you're helping by talking about it.
Yeah. Well, I know at the time I was trying to find some sort of group, that somebody who had been there as well, and I couldn't find a single person. So that's kind of where I'm coming from, because I didn't find a single person who, was available.
Yeah, that's rough, because I think that's a smart thing to do. When when I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis and fibromyalgia, and found out, I went from normal to really severe like overnight. And that's one of the first things I did when I was lucky. I got the diagnosis 6 weeks later, but it's still, a punch in the gut that you have an incurable disease that, is going to affect you. And one of the things they told me is you won't live as long. And I said, the hell I won't. But, it's still a smack in the face the day you get the thing. It's still shock to you. And that's the first thing I went to do, was find some kind of online group or something of other people who had it to talk to. So I totally understand why you did that. But it's unfortunate that you didn't find somebody to talk to. How did you handle it after that?
Because I went with three of my friends, but we kind of, for some reason, we went the opposite way, and we didn't fall out. We just didn't talk about it. I think because we felt a bit sensitive around each other, because we
Yeah.
seen different things, because we got split up. But we kind of, eventually after a few months started to talk about it. That helped a lot. Even if it meant sleeping in each other's houses so we weren't alone. That was a big thing for me. I didn't want to be alone. I think like mentally something was saying that something will happen as soon as, I'm left alone. But of course, you just have to try and snap back to reality, but it takes time, definitely.
Yeah, that's interesting that you brought up that it would make it more sensitive at first for you guys to be around each other, having seen different things. But,
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that, but I guess that's true. And then coming back together to be a comfort to each other.
Yeah.
That's a nice thing. And in fact, how are your friends doing with this?
Um, um
I
they
mean, you
seem
need not say who they are or anything like that.
no, they
It's
seem
okay.
to be doing quite well. One of my friends, she was in a separate part to us, but she left a little bit earlier, so she didn't necessarily see it, but she still kind of gets like the anxiety from thinking that if she would have left 2 minutes later, she would have been in the foyer where, unfortunately it happened at the time. But the other day it was like a thunderstorm, and she said she was feeling really, really anxious because of it, because it was such loud, repetitive noises that it was kind of bringing something back for and triggering her. So I suppose I suppose it can come over you like a wave of emotion sometimes, and it can, you know.
Yeah, most definitely. So what would you say to somebody nowadays? Do you take any form of medication, or do you continue to see a therapist, or
At first, I was like, no, listen, I don't want anything. The only thing I ever had was calms. It's like a herbal remedy, calms. I can't. They're just like a calming tablet. People take it for travel and things.
okay.
That would help with, because I actually was going on holiday like a few weeks later, so I was like, I'm not going. I'm determined. So I just took a few of those, and it kind of helped. But apart from that, I didn't really take anything stronger. But that was just personal preference. If people think that's going to help, they should definitely, reach out for that.
Absolutely. Hey, Kimberly Harrod, how are you? So glad to have you. In fact, Kimberly is an upcoming guest on October 15th for News Stories, Beauty and the Beast. Bless you.
Thank
I
you.
sneeze all the time. So we're discussing right now, Jess Rigby was there at the Manchester Arena bombings, and she's come forward to talk about of the 23 people that were killed, including the suicide bomber, there were an additional 800 people that were affected physically or psychologically. And she was affected psychologically and has come forward to talk about it, and hopefully give some help to other people that either were that or any of the other situations that have happened around the globe, with increasing, scarily enough, with increasing frequency. So what do you find that helps you best? I know you went to your physician, and which ended up relaying you on to a psychiatrist. What do you think helps you best, and what would you want to tell other people? Had you had somebody to talk to that day, that you went and looked for a group or something like that, what would you say to that person looking?
With it being a similar situation, I'd probably just, it's really about self-care. I think I kind of neglected myself because I thought, I don't know where to go, what avenue to lead. So, all I did was just, I definitely talked to somebody. I would never try to keep it bottled up. Like talk to your mom, a sister, a friend,
Right.
and then professional help. If you haven't got anybody else, there's always someone to listen, even a teacher or something. But
It's
then
a very good point, because I bet a lot
yeah.
of people do bottle it up or think that there's somebody that doesn't want to listen. Please go ahead.
No, but definitely, I do think I would always say it's easier said than done, but definitely don't keep it bottled up because it can just make you feel 100 times worse. And it's just not nice because then you've kind of prevented it for so long. When you actually come to face the emotions, you can feel a lot worse because you've never, faced it head on before. So I definitely would say to just try your hardest to face it head on and get the help that you think you need. There's no weakness in it. Just get the
Oh
help.
no, absolutely not. Definitely not. Um, so it was your psychiatrist that diagnosed you with PTSD, panic attacks, and anxiety?
Yeah, yeah. Because I've never, like I said, I think I mentioned, never ever struggled it with before. I was really, really outgoing. I never even, I never knew what it felt like to be anxious. Honestly, I was always, quite outgoing and confident, things like that.
Right, right.
So it was just a complete new world to me. It was just unknown.
Yeah, that would be, especially for someone that's sociable and whatnot, and that's that's definitely a crack to the system, and finding your way back out of it. Happy trails hiking. How are you? We are talking to Jess Rigby, who was present at the Manchester bombings, and saw and heard and everything, there. And we're talking to her. Ammo Animation says, I hate having to talk. Sometimes it's good for you. um, I don't know if it's with your issues, I had to say, Ammo, find somebody that your family or someone caring or whatnot that would like to listen. Or if you don't have anybody, there's many of us that are happy to listen on here. And I think Jess brings up a good point with that is, regardless of what it is, don't hold it in. Happy Trails hiking. If it's the K side of it, she was on recently, and she was a teacher for 17 years. And I know she talked to her students quite a bit about things. I'm sure would say the same. H of the Great says, I have bipolar. I know what it's like to be both outgoing and an introvert. That's interesting. I found out through Mama Styles that I don't have bipolar or anything like that, but I did find out because Angel was talking about being an introvert one day, and I was talking about being very sociable and whatnot. And I said, but I need a certain amount of time to myself. Bless you. And Mama Styles said, and I said, just a certain amount I need to myself, and then I'm good, and then I can go and socialize again. But I do need my quiet time. And she says, well, that's because I said, I guess I'm an introverted extrovert or an extrovert introvert. I was like, I don't know what that is. And Mama Styles told me, she's like, that is an ambivert, which I looked up, and it's a balance between the two. So you might be that too, Rachel. Ammo says I'm an introvert 24/7. Well, you're not always, because you come on here a lot. So, yeah, and yeah, Angel says to Rachel that she's also very introverted. Let's see, when you're hypomanic, generally you're outgoing regardless of what you are otherwise. And yes, ambivert. And S2W Themes, how are you? Fantastic to see you. In fact, I brought him up earlier. Some big projects that we'll be working on soon. And this is the gentleman I was speaking about that just got his certification and can do all kinds of fantastic things around New York and whatnot on Broadway and behind the scenes that he is now certified to do. We're very proud of him. He says he's an introvert, but interesting enough, he's been nothing but an extrovert with me and some of us around here. So that's interesting. But not shocking in Jess's situation when you've been, and I don't know if you realize Jess was in the Manchester bombing. She was there at the arena and saw people perish and whatnot, which, it was May 17th, May 22nd, 2017, not all that long ago. So you said you went from being outgoing and whatnot. Do you still find yourself introverted, or have you found yourself working your way back out of it?
I think I am a little bit of both, like we've just mentioned, but I think I'm really trying to fight against getting back to the way that I was. I don't turn as many things down as what I would have at one point. Like at the beginning, nothing was a possibility. I was like, oh no, it can't happen. But now I kind of think, go for it, push myself a little bit. So
yeah, well, no, that's good. Let's see. Mama Style says us introverts prefer one-on-one interaction over groups. Yeah, I'm definitely a mix then, because I like both. I like one-on-one, I like groups, I like whatnot. And it sounds like Jess was similar before that. Did you like interaction with both groups and one-on-one, Jess?
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I've noticed there's a fair amount of people on YouTube that are introverted, and that was something that I didn't expect. I mean, I have nothing against anybody who's introverted. I have lots of friends that are, but what else would you want to tell somebody who's going through something like this? There's certain things, I to be honest, I don't even know certain things that I would ask about this, not being in it. I mean, like I said, the closest thing that I've come to it was the 9/11, and I had friends who were stuck on the trains. They were, any of the underground trains stopped, and they were stuck on there for hours. And of course, we knew lots of different people since so many passed in that. And we watched the second tower go down. We physically watched it. It was unbelievable trying to comprehend that as that went down. I watched it. I was with my mother. That as that went down, that it was filled with people. It's still to this day almost impossible to comprehend. But couponer from Brooklyn, hello, how are you? We're talking about all kinds of things, introverted, extroverted, whatever comes up organically. And the conversation has started from Jess. She was in the Manchester arena bombing when Ariana Grande apparently, and this is the part I didn't know, right as the last song. Boy, that was timed out incredibly. Odd question, can you listen to her music?
I can now, yeah, definitely. At the beginning, there was no chance. It was specifically that one song at the end, but it kind of was still really, really hard with all the other songs, even if they weren't necessarily played on the night. It was kind of just hearing a voice was really like eerie, and it was bizarre. I didn't really enjoy it like I once did.
Yeah, I can imagine. Because I mean, I have a couple of her songs on my gym playlist. I mean, she's got an upbeat, whatnot. But that's one that just popped into my head. I'm like, goodness, that's got to be something to listen to it and have it, maybe echo a bit in your head. Just out of curiosity, what was the last song that she played?
It was, Dangerous Woman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
it
my
was
good.
that
Oh
one.
geez. Good Lord. Wow, they really do plan these things out. Interesting.
Yeah.
Goodness. Wow. Um, let's see. Angel the Great. She says to Angel, yes, self-awareness is the key to remaining in control of this illness. Yeah, it's Angel, that's definitely true. Like I said, I don't personally have I'm not bipolar or anything else like that, but I did study psychology as well as biology as an undergrad. And I studied psychology a lot in the biological sense as I was going on to med school. So it was quite helpful. But self-awareness is a huge factor in it, especially with bipolar, because many people end up thinking they feel fine or whatnot, and especially in manic phases will think everything's on the up and they're doing great and then go off their medication and then things start to go to hell. So yeah, being self-aware is really important in all cases, but it's, especially that too, being aware that it's important to, stay with whatever therapy you and your psychiatrist have gone on to. And that's fantastic that you are aware like that. Angel says one thing about us introverts: when we want to be alone, oh Lord, leave us. And STW Themes, Enzo says, no, I stopped and said hello, but you were really caught with your words. And I noticed about me when I'm locked in a thought or focused, I missed you. Oh, he was joking, and I don't. I don't consider myself my introvert. I try to balance it out. I was gonna say, Enzo, I was like, you're an introvert. What? Okay, yeah. I think if anything, Enzo, you're more like I am. Maybe a balance between the two. That because I definitely am social, but yes, I can identify with Angel that if I need some alone time, leave me alone. Just let me have it. I like some quiet and to read or write or whatnot. I just think that's healthy. But then again, there's people who don't want to be alone at all. And then in a situation like this, you were saying that you definitely didn't want to be alone after this happened.
Yeah, it
And
is really strange.
well, I think that's probably a normal response, especially from somebody that's sociable, is, because it's frightening as all hell. And you don't want to close your eyes and re-see that. And for anybody who doesn't realize, Jess is also an artist. She also enjoys special effects makeup. And we're going to be talking about that more. We'll talk about it a little bit tonight, and then she'll also be a guest this coming Monday. So we were talking about that, but I think especially anybody who's, an artist or anything, I think we see things a bit more vividly in our heads, don't you think?
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, SDW Theme says, I agree. Sometimes I enjoy being alone. It rejuvenates my soul to catch up on me time. Yes. I think me time is very important. Sometimes just a bit of me time, regardless of what's happened, is good for you, just to do what you're going to do. This is something I'm curious about. And if I ask anything that you're uncomfortable with, please tell me and we can pass over it. Are you comfortable with going in that area? And if so, how long did it take you to be comfortable to go back in that area again?
Um. Well, with Manchester as like the city, I think it is.
Yeah.
We went to how she did a concert, like she'd come back and it was a lot of artists together and it was to raise like funds. We went to that. That was quite hard, to be honest. That was
I can imagine. So how long was that after?
a week or two. I think it might have been a week. So it's pretty soon. I think it was a week or two.
Wow. Wait, so they came back to do like a benefit,
Yeah, yeah.
and they did it. Where did they do the benefit?
It was like it's like a really, really big like stadium / like cricket ground, so it's like a big open space, which I think was better, to be honest, because I
Oh,
think
okay. Because I went, dear God, they didn't do it in the same place, did they? 'Cause okay, all right. But that's still, how was that for you?
um it was bizarre, but because it was, I can't explain, it was just full of love, it really was. So it was kind of nice once we were there. The amount of security was nice as well, because obviously then it makes you feel safe.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just like, because there was so much security and checks and like really, really thorough checks, and your bag was basically tipped out, it did make you feel like nothing could have possibly got in and nothing did go wrong. And when we were walking back, we come outside of there and went back to the car, it was just completely flooded with like army with guns and things. And we were like, okay, I do feel safe, to be honest. But I haven't been in the arena yet, and I'm not really necessarily scared of going in. I'm kind of intrigued. I'm now at this stage of I'm intrigued, but there's just not really been any shows on that I'm interested in. But I've walked past it and like, laid flowers down and things. So I've been to it, but not really inside. Yeah.
Okay, that's doing pretty well for what's considered, and it's really nice that you've gone and laid flowers by there. That's a nice sentiment. See, Achel, I'd see it's going on in the chat. Let's see, Angel says, I love being alone. And Achel says, and I know her name is Rachel. I just adore her nickname, Achel the Great. I really do. I think I love it. That's how I know I'm truly an introvert. People drain my energy. And Jem is back. Wonderful to have you back. Angel says, yes, on the spot, her too. I'm glad you were getting a drink, Jem, after the interview you had. And Angel says, my fiance doesn't get it. He's an extrovert and people energize him. So I can go either way. It depends on my mood. If I'm tired, oh, thank you so much, Jem. She says, hey, beautiful ladies. You're such a sweetheart, Jem.
Oh, Jem.
Yeah, she's wonderful. I absolutely adore her. I call her my Gem because when I first met Gemma, I was calling her Gemma. And and then finally she told me, she was so kind about it. And I said, oh goodness, just tell me if I'm saying it wrong. Please do. I mean, God knows I have a name that if that's butchered constantly. And I'm not talking about Angel. Angel has her own way of saying the Lady Borgia, because that's Angel's. She knows how it's said. That's Angel's nickname for me. But if anyone ever heard my full birth name, you would. It's definitely ethnic, and it's a mouthful. And so I know about names being chopped up, and even having a famous family and whatnot. But I finally said, and she's such a lovely, when she finally said it was Gemma, and so that's why I call her my gem. I said, well, goodness, you're such a gem. You haven't said anything to me, and here I am, like slaughtering your name. Let's see. Angel says to Angel the Great, I feel bad, but sometimes I lie to my coworkers and say I'm listening to a podcast through my AirPod when I'm really just in my thoughts. And Angel says, I totally get that. Well, that makes sense. Sometimes if you're thinking or you're doing whatever and you don't want to be bothered with chit chat, I don't know. I don't think that's that terrible to do. Some people get chatty and you're just not in the mood to be chatty sometimes. I could understand that. But anyway, that's you're doing amazingly well through all of this. You know, that's incredible. How did your family take? I know you said you have an older brother and an older sister
Yeah.
and whatnot. Were they a big help? And how did they help you through this
Um,
ordeal?
I feel like at first they didn't really know how to talk about it. They didn't really know how to approach me. I think they thought, oh God, she's different now because she's been through this. So, they
Yeah.
just kind of give me a hug as soon as they see me, and they were like, we're here if you need anything. They more so just, and it's kind of a thing, I suppose, they just didn't really talk, because then it wasn't reminding me. So we kind of did other things and went places and things like that. So it was kind of like taking my mind off things, I suppose. But yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Mama Style says small talk for us stinks. Oh, okay. Yeah, I get that. Um, so, how long did it take? Because you said you were working at the time, right?
Yeah.
So, how long did you take off of work? What was the time sense with that? How
Uh,
did that all play out with you?
at the time, it was kind of lucky, I suppose, because you know, I wasn't that happy in the job, and that was just basically the company. So I kind of had thoughts of leaving anyway. And I mentioned that I may need time off, and they weren't really happy to do that. So I thought it's probably just better to
Really?
leave. Yeah, it wasn't the best place to be working.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I left on my own accord, and then I just found something else. But then I just said, before I do, I'll take the time that I think I might need off first. So yeah, took a while, but I think it was lucky that I wasn't happy anyway.
Hey, Julie, welcome. It's great to see you. Fantastic. We're just talking about the after effects of Jess being in the Manchester arena bombing, how it affected her, and this is one thing that in reading about it, because I always pre-interview my guests and then I do a bit of research before the episode in the weeks before. Angel, I love my fellow introverted family. I love you guys are hysterical. But one of the things that was interesting that one of the articles that I came across said is, other than the 23, including the suicide bomber that perished in the bombing, that there were 800 people that were affected either physically or psychologically in it. And that's the part that I think a lot of people don't think of after it passes, that the psychological issues that remain. And I mean, I'm sure there's obviously people who physically are still dealing with physical aspects of it, but I think in certain ways, mental scars can almost last longer a lot of the time than physical scars, since people don't see them.
Yeah,
um
definitely.
yeah, so it's a bit like you said, your own brothers and sisters weren't quite sure how to approach you, almost as if you were a little bit different. And I think sometimes people are like that, and meaning well,
Yeah.
meaning very well, that they weren't sure, should I say something, should I not say something, I'll give you a hug, but what do I do in the situation? And I think maybe in a situation as this, tell me if I'm wrong, would you appreciate it if somebody had just said to you, what should I do? I don't know what to do to help you. Would you have liked that or no?
I suppose in some cases it depends on the person. Maybe I probably would. And it's only because I could sense that they didn't know how to react towards me, or, how to. So it was kind of, I felt like just saying, I'm the same person, I'm just, I think
Right.
they really couldn't believe that it had happened as a whole, and then that someone they knew was there. It was kind of bizarre for them to comprehend. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point though. And that's something that I hadn't necessarily thought of in reading and looking up, and even after talking to you in this, is that yeah, that's definitely something that somebody might think of differently. But yeah, if you don't know, ask a person.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely ask them, tell them. I mean, I ask questions straight out. I'm used to asking people questions, but if you're in a case like that, they are still the same person. And if you don't know, ask. The worst thing they can tell you is I don't know, or I don't want to answer. I mean, really. So what are you doing nowadays? For work? Are you in school? What are you doing now?
I think I've kind of just gone for it. Anything that I wanted to do. I'm doing special effects. I know that we mentioned that.
Yeah.
That's something that I always wanted to do. So I've just gone for that, really. So I'm just.
Go ahead. No, please. I'd love to hear about it. And how did you, I know when we talked about it, you said you've been interested for about 5 years, but how did you get involved into special effects makeup, and how are you involved in it now?
I I think I've always been a bit strange, so don't judge.
You're talking to, I mean, I'm a girl, and if you looked at some of my stuff, yeah, I haven't put it all out there yet, but the Love Hurts one on there definitely says, like, it's okay. You're amongst other special effects people. We're all strange.
Yeah, definitely. I am
In a healthy, good way.
Yeah, definitely. I started to, even just from watching like scary films and the special effects, I was like, wow, that's so cool. Someone's created that with the hands. I remember seeing a program at one point and they'd made a whole complete like to size human body out of prosthetics and it looked so real and I was just like,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
So I was so interested by that and they made all the insides. I can't remember what it was on. So for some weird reason, something in my mind had said, wow, that's what I want to do. So yeah, I kind of
I think it's absolutely fascinating. Please go ahead.
I do, yeah, of course. I really do. So yeah, I had a point where I did it as a hobby and I was like, I always was doing something and my family would like jump every time I walked downstairs.
Oh, yes. My family's pretty good about it. I didn't do it as much over the summer because it's so hot. But yeah, I've had my dog run from me. All kinds of strange things happen. I did something once. I hadn't been doing it for a long time, and I woke up. I think it was last summer. It wasn't this summer. It was last summer. I was getting back into it, and I woke up in the night and I couldn't sleep. Oh, Mama Styles has to go and charge her phone. Oh, and do the evil dishes. Oh, I despise dishes. I don't. Go figure. I like to make strange things and whatnot, but dishes freak me out. I don't know why. I'll do them if I have to, but I drop dishes too with my RA, so I'm not a good dish doer. But I can't say that I like them before. Yeah, S2WC says, "Wow, that's awesome. Definitely." But I have definitely freaked my family out. I woke up and I couldn't sleep and I started doodling with some eyeliners and I had some yellow ones and it was basically just yellow, white, and black. And I ended up doodling a set of rotten teeth on top of my mouth. And it took like, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but I didn't realize that they looked really I guess they looked pretty authentic. And I didn't want to mess it up. I wanted to work on it more. So I went, well, I just grabbed a towel because I always have towels around where I work. And I put a towel over my pillowcase and I fell asleep. And my family walked into my room and freaked out because they just saw me laying there with these rotten teeth and they couldn't process it. Like, what the hell was going on? And I hadn't been doing it recently. I've done it off and on since I was a kid, but yeah, it completely freaked them out, freaked the dog out. I got up, the dog ran from me. So after that, they got used to it a bit again. But yeah, I know how that works. So they got used to you walking around the house.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, families have to get used to that and just find it normal that, yeah, we paint on our arms to doodle. We do strange things. We put stuff in our hair. That's normal for us. So after you doing it at home, did you end up finding work in it?
Yeah, well, I'm currently in university doing it now.
Oh, so cool.
And then I'm currently doing like, because Halloween's coming up, I'm doing it on like people for like when they go places. And I've got a place, well, it's quite close to my house, about 30 minutes away. And they do like a scare house, if you know what I mean, like a haunted house.
Yeah, yeah.
And oh, it's awesome. So I'm going to be doing their makeup, which I'm really excited for.
That's so fun. They do one just down the road from me. They have the town museum, which is well, things that are old in this country are nothing in comparison to the UK. But for here, it's really old. It's I believe from the 1700s, late 1600s, and they've turned it into a haunted house. But they do the whole thing where they act it out and the whole nine. It's amazing what a good job they do because they have a whole script and everything for each time that it goes through. It's really impressive. It's not just a jump out one. What school did you find to go to and what program for people that are interested?
It's Bolton University, which is about an hour or two away from me. And then it's the BA Honours in Special Effects and Prosthetics for TV and film.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I mean, I have my degrees in other things, but I kind of want to go back and get into that.
You should go and do it.
I do, because that's the one thing that I figured out. And Enzo says it sounds like a lot of fun. Oh my gosh, it is. And I wanted to get more into prosthetics and other things. Because the one thing that I noticed after I got arthritis and everything else, I can still hold a paintbrush and I can still do a lot of things. Whereas other things like my music and whatnot, I can't, playing the bass, playing the piano, other things like that hurt my hands. But it's not that hard to hold. Where's my thing? I just got it the other day. I think she'll understand it. Oh, here it is. I can still hold, you guys are going to think I'm a weirdo, but a kit like this with all the picks and the whatnot and this I can still hold.
Oh, wow.
Which, yeah, I just got it the other day and it was very reasonable on Amazon. It has all the things to carve things out. So I'm excited to use it, but I don't know if anybody can actually see what it is. It's technically a wax carver set, guys. No, it's not. You can buy dental sets and stuff like that. And no, I'm not going to be ripping people's teeth out or anything weird like that. It's just to carve things and whatnot. But that's so cool that you've done that. Gosh, I should look into if they have anything. I mean, it's a bit silly since I've already gone through so much education. But I guess people go back and do things all the time and stuff like that. Charles and Kathy May, hello. Enzo says, I would love to also get into special effects. Enzo, you know what? You and I should look for somewhere around here. Ammo says, I want to get into special effects soon. And so there's got to be things around here that aren't at the university level that we could do. I would do it with you. That would be so fun. I mean, we live, in the New York area. There's got to be other things that we don't have to do at the university level to do it. That would be so fun. I'm so jealous. So what are you learning in school now? Like, how much longer do you have? How long have you been in school?
Well, I wanted to originally from when I left, high school.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of like really, really unsure. I wanted to do performing arts with musical theatre and things like that. I really enjoy, a good musical theatre ballad, singing my heart out, but I just don't really have the confidence for it. So I thought, I went for the childcare side of it, but then it was just, I really had no idea whatsoever. So eventually I pushed myself, went for the special effects, and I've finished my first year. So
How many years is the program?
3. It's for 3.
Very cool. Oh my goodness. So what have you learned so far and what will you be getting into?
So far it was mostly the basics at the beginning. So, the cuts, bruises, like making them look authentic. But to be fair, it's kind of things you already know. So it's kind of a bit frustrating because, people have their own techniques as well. Then moved into prosthetics. So making like face sculptures and busts and things like that.
Right.
Body parts, hands, making them look realistic, carving them out, things like that. But then in the next 2 years, you also do delve into a little bit of special effects, like on the computer and things like that. So
that's really cool. Yeah, because I would like to mix some of the things like the chroma key and stuff like that with some of the stuff, the makeup stuff I use, because I use a lot of my painting skills to do the painting, but I'd like to get more in some of the prosthetics. And I mean, there's a girl that I know that I'm going to be doing a collaboration with. It's on Instagram. She makes the most fantastic prosthetics just on her own in her house that I'm like, wow. And I know another girl who's made a mold of her face so she can continually, mold them out off of that, which just is, I'm always seeing more things and I'm like, I need that. Oh, but I need some of that. And if you guys don't know, for those of you who don't know, it can get rather expensive.
Oh,
I mean, Pro Sage just in its own, which is an adhesive to like really keep things on, because we made these little horns for Rudolph last year. Actually, one of my family members made me them, and I wasn't thinking about their weight. And I went to put them on with spirit gum, and there was just no way. And I didn't have any Prosaid. And then I went to get it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's, you know, it's not cheap. I mean, not that it's, you know, gonna the world, but it's definitely all the different paints and the whatnot and this, that, it definitely adds up, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I do like to attempt to delve into the cheaper items that are available and, you know,
Oh,
trying to
me
bring
too.
up my own techniques and things. But sometimes, unfortunately, the more expensive stuff does come out better. So I suppose that's what it's made for.
Yeah, yeah. I try to go with what I can for the most of it.
Yeah.
Just like I said, I was hoping that spirit gum would be enough for those little horns, but they made them of clay, so it was too. I thought if I put it up high enough, that would be enough, but not really. But that's tons of fun. So, once you graduate, so what you want to do is work in the movies and whatnot. What would your dream job be?
Ooh, ultimate would probably be something like, you know, like the TV shows like The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones or something, where it's like really high tech visual and special effects, makeup wise. I just think it's insane how they can create something like the zombies in The Walking Dead look out of this world.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
amazing what you can do between painting and then even just special effects stuff that you can do on a phone.
yeah,
And I mean, I was looking at it because I do editing on my phone a lot just because it's easy, and the I have the Samsung Note 8, which I believe next month is when I'm due to pick up the Note 9. And I think Enzo's due next month as well. We have some of the same equipment. Although he's got more toys than I do. He's been doing it longer. Um, but it's amazing because I use two different editing programs because both of them don't have exactly what I would want on for both. So I use on my phone KindMaster and Power Director. Power Director I like, it's got better stuff, but it doesn't have a bookmarking function, which it doesn't sound like much, but it drives me nuts to not have a bookmarking function because I can't just like, okay, stop that right there and put it up. Um, but it's amazing that I was like, you know, you could do this, you could paint yourself up, then you could key yourself out with chroma key and, you know, put zombies coming back in, and you could film like this whole little thing from a phone. It's
yeah,
just, it's mind boggling what you can do nowadays. And then if you've got like a full desktop and you're running like a full thing of the amazing things you can do, and even the things you can do live nowadays with special effects,
yeah.
I would love to yeah, S2W Theme says we should start our own production company with all you creatives. I'm in.
Same.
I am in. I would totally do it, Enzo. You know I would. Angel says yes, the Note 9 is awesome. It is. It's utterly fantastic. I feel a little sad though, because lately I've been looking at my Note 8, which of course I spent a lot of time with since I started YouTube this year as a public channel. So I use my phone a lot. And I'm like, oh, and this is the first time I actually leased a phone instead of buying it outright. And I went, oh, I'm gonna have to give you up soon and clean all my stuff off of you and give you away. We've spent so much time together. I know it sounds silly. It's almost like it's a friend, though. I'm like, I'm gonna have to give you up. I know it's very strange. We get attached to our equipment. But that's absolutely fantastic. And I know there's some other things that you are interested in. Tell me about your interest in animals.
Oh well, I don't know where to start. No, I just think they bring so much to life. I just think because they're so unaware that they never really harm anyone or anything like that. They're just going about their own little life and whatever else. But I do just think they bring something like they're unaware what they're actually doing a lot of the time, but they're actually bringing a lot of happiness and things to people.
Yeah. How did you get? How many animals do you have now?
I have two dogs and two cats.
Oh, that's fantastic. And where did you get them?
I got my 2 cats. One of my cats from a family member, and one of them from a rescue place. And then I got one of my dogs was from a farm. He was abandoned, unfortunately, and my sister got one of the dogs. She bought that from a lady or something. I can't really remember.
Oh, that's sweet. S2W Theme says he can't wait for the Note 9 next month. My Note 8 has a cracked screen and a front facing. Oh, and your front facing camera isn't working either. Oh goodness, I can imagine you want to. Now I'm a little freaked out. I don't have my screen protector anymore because it popped off. I dropped my phone once and it didn't break, but the screen protector popped off, and then the adhesive wouldn't stay. So it has one of those things you can fill it out. They'll send you a new one. I haven't done that yet. And now I'm a little scared because I'm like, well, what if I put it? I don't know. I know I should get it, but I was thinking, well, you're going to be getting a new one so soon, but I don't know. Maybe I should do that. And yes, definitely down to start a production company anytime, even if it's super small. We should definitely do that. Even if it's just a couple people, and we've got, like I said, YouTube is like a global playground. We've got all kinds of people and whatnot. There's always things that can be done. Let's see. I was looking through. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, oh, I'm sorry. SUW's theme says, yes, I dropped it and it fell right on the sweet spot. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I did the same thing. I was in a Macy's and I dropped it, but luckily that screen cover just popped right off. But yeah, that's how it can happen. What do you use for filming, Jess?
I've got a camera, but I'm not really all about that fancy schmancy thing. So I just use my phone at the moment, but I bought a camera, quite an expensive one. But it's a lot of hassle sometimes when I only want to film a short video, because I have to import it onto my laptop, off my laptop, it's just a lot. So at the moment, I'm just happy with using my phone, to be honest.
So you have a DSLR? Do you have a Canon, or what type do you have?
It's a Canon. It's I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah, I like Canons.
Canon. Yeah.
I've always liked those. I've always been partial to those. I had a family member who had a Nikon, and my father was a professional quality photographer, as well as my uncle, but they were professional quality, but they didn't, I don't believe they worked professionally much. Although I do remember a story about my father and Dan Rather on Guam and him hanging out the side of a helicopter or something like that. But I'm going to have to ask what that story is again, because I forgot. Oh, Frank is here. Welcome, Frank. So good to see you. I'm on the road, but listening in on this. Frank, how are you listening? Did you get a tablet? I meant to ask you that the other day because he was coming from a show and he was listening, and I thought about it, and I'm like, Frank does not have a cell phone. Interesting fact that most of you don't know. Unless, did you finally get a cell phone? He had to either get a cell phone or finally have gotten a tablet. But he's one of the few people I know that doesn't have one, or didn't used to have one. But always wonderful to have you, unless you are borrowing somebody else's. Look at me, all nosy. So with the special effects and everything else like that, have you found someone to collaborate with on YouTube, or would you be interested in doing like a production that way? Or
Definitely.
Oh wait, hold on one second. I see something. I do have one now. Frank, do you have a phone, or did you get a tablet? Did you leap into this century? That would be, everybody's like, why is she stopping to talk about that? Because Frank was the only person I knew who did not have a cell phone. All right, I'll wait for you there. If you have one, tell us, because that's fantastic. He was definitely hardcore on not getting one for a bit, but let's see. SGW Seems, he says, hey, Jess Rigby, supporting you, and we'll get your video after this live. Fantastic.
Oh, thank you very much.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I just totally cut you out. Oh, he caved in. Well, you made it pretty far. You made it to 2018. So Now Frank has a cell phone. I was wondering about that because a couple times he said he was watching. I'm like, how the hell is he watching? He doesn't have a phone. And I knew he was thinking about getting a tablet. All right, enough of that. Um, you were the last person I knew to hold out. It's pretty good. 2018 is pretty darn good. Um, anyway, I'm sorry. I totally cut you off. I was asking you about collaborations and whatnot. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I've not got anything planned in that area. I definitely would like to because it'd be so cool. But yeah, in the future I'd love to, but I've just not got anything planned up to now. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Frank says at least I can watch your live while on the job. Rock on. Yes, always watch from work. I've got quite a few people who watch from work and hide it from their boss. Um, so fantastic. What would you have to say? I don't want to keep you up too late. What would you have to say to someone after everything that you've been through with the bombings and everything else? What message would you want to give everybody who's listening or who's listening on the replay tonight?
I kind of similar to what I said before. Well, any situation that you find yourself in, obviously, if you're feeling down or upset or something major's happened in your life, I'd definitely just say to speak about it, try your hardest not to bottle it up because it just doesn't help yourself or anybody else. Sometimes it is better just to face it head on, unfortunately. I know it might not seem like you want to, but yeah, definitely try and face it head on and get that help from family, friends, or professionals.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing that with us. I think that was so incredibly brave of you. I know everybody in the chat, was very appreciative of it and everything like that. We're definitely looking forward to having you come back on Monday and chat all about makeup and everything else like that. But as she's in the UK, guys, and we pretty much covered everything that we were going to talk about. So I'd like to let her go to bed if she can. So thank you so much, Jess, for coming and sharing that with us. We look forward to seeing you again on Monday.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I've had a lot of fun.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, guys, unless you have any questions or anything else like that, we'll let her go to bed, and then you guys can actually see her again, like I said, on Monday. And we might keep her a bit longer on that one because that's when we're going to get more into makeup, but we're going to be getting into special effects makeup too because Halloween is coming. I can't believe I don't have anything up yet. I'm still kind of going back and forth with the filming aspect of it because I'm a little bit different with the special effects than I am with the beauty. Well, I mix special effects and beauty makeup together all the time. And I'll use special effect makeups on my eyes while I'm, mixing it with beauty makeup. But it's just getting the editing down because, especially with, I know you said you worked with an illustrator, the alcohol activated paints.
Yeah.
And I work with the water. I'll work on an area and then I'll move on to another area while that's drying and then come back to it. So it's a little bit weird film. Have you filmed any of your things yet?
I've got a few. I wanted to, with this series that I've got in mind, I wanted to make quite short but sweet videos just on simple special effects, but then also more intricate. But then again, like you said, I don't want to do a video that's like an hour long because we all know how long they take to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know what parts to cut out or what. So
yeah, that's the thing that I'm trying to work out because I can film the beauty ones and even the one that's got a mixture, but doing an intricate piece on my face. And since I go back and forth, I mean, I know if I do the simpler ones, I can say, well, do this, then do this, then do that. But Nines Catudio, what is up? Hi, Paw. Oh my goodness. So good to see you. And STW Themes, Enzo says, yes, I need ideas for Halloween. I can definitely help you with that. We will be having a Halloween party complete with costumes. Hello, ding dong. Complete with costumes. It's going to be an adult party. Is everybody asked to have an adult party again? And Enzo and I were both thinking at the same time, how about costumes this time? So we're going to be doing that. That'll be a lot of fun. You're welcome to come to that as well. It's going to be live, and we're going to be having people on the panel and whatnot. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's definitely going to be adult though, although we don't get like terrible. Everybody was respectful and everything else like that. It didn't get nasty, but and I know we've got some other things coming up with some other projects that actually you might be very good in them, since you've been in drama and you're also doing special effects and whatnot. So we'll have to talk to you about that too. But I think that is all for now. Thank you everybody for coming. I hope you have a fantastic evening. Thank you so much, Jess, and we will see you again on Monday.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. Good night, all. Love you all. Lady
Bye.
Borgia.